Hey everybody, welcome back to Bourbon Boys, the podcast where guys get together to talk about bourbon, about life, lore and libation, and everything that comes along with being a dad. We aren't bourbon snobs, just a group of guys who like bourbon for what it is and how it tastes. It's pretty simple. This is podcast number 68. I'm Dew, your host, and here with me are my bourbon boys. We got Altoon.
Hey.
Kurtron.
Hey there.
And Kratastic.
Yep.
And tonight we're going to chat it up with the owners of American Woman Spirits.
Yeah.
And we're
Dr.
gonna-
John Lapourie.
Yep.
Out of Steamboat Springs.
Yes.
Colorado.
I'm excited about this one.
This is
Yeah.
going to be great.
This is kind of cool, different approach, different business model.
Yep.
Pretty sweet.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's not one that matches the story, the
Yeah.
style,
It's different.
the process. Like this is all new to us. So
Yep.
Yeah. And we did sneak a drink early, and it's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Oh.
Is that why
for sure.
Derek is talking so smoothly?
And an amazing bottle to top it off. I'll just say that,
Yeah,
and we'll
it
let the
is.
rest be told in
It
the
is.
in the
There you go.
podcast.
all right. So enjoy, and here comes Ann and John.
Ann and John. Hey, John.
Hey guys,
Hi, I'm Ann.
Hi, Ann. How are you?
nice to meet you.
Good, how are you guys? Nice
Good.
to meet you too.
Good. So, John, thanks a lot, and Ann for joining us tonight. John, I know we had a couple communications back and forth, and the guys were asking me, like, how did you get hooked up with this guy? And I was like, it's like 3 degrees of separation between Jonathan and Joe. And were you skiing with them a couple months ago, or?
Yes,
Okay.
they were here.
Yeah.
Skiing in Steamboat.
Okay. So Joe brought me a bottle of your bourbon back as a gift, and then he's like, "You guys should hook up with this guy and talk to them about their product and about their business and kind of how they got started, where they're going." And so I think I briefed you a little bit in our email. We do a series called Staring Down the Barrel. So we've been talking to a number of different, I guess what we'll call craft distilleries, that are the small ones that are kind of built out of really interesting stories. Many times the people come from something very different other than the world of bourbon and end up in the world of bourbon. We're really fascinated by your story that you actually created a bottle and then decided you had to fill it with something, which is not usually how the process works. So we're really interested to dig into all of that. And Ann, tell us like what your role is or what you play in the distillery with.
Yeah, so I've been a part of this company for about 2 years now as one of the owners, and then
Okay.
brand ambassador and sales rep here in Steamboat. So we self-distribute in our little mountain town, and that's mainly my job as I go around and fulfill orders and do menu placements and some events.
Okay.
That we sponsor. And I'm also on the Women Advisory Board. So we meet monthly, and it's a group of 5 of us women to just make sure everything's running smoothly and make changes and collaborate with them.
Okay.
And then I also travel around with John a lot to new markets, new potential, and do presentations and talk to people like this about our product.
Awesome.
That's right.
Well, you're going to talk to 4 of us tonight, and they'll all get a chance to introduce themselves. I think, John, I told you a little bit about us. So we all work together at Lowe's headquarters here in Mooresville, North Carolina. 3 of us have since passed on from Lowe's and have moved on to other things.
Sounds like we died. We moved on.
We moved on,
Yeah.
sorry. And and our friend Krat is still there, but we all have kids same age. We're all about the same age. We're all kind of going through a lot of the same life things at the same time. And so we just started hanging out, drinking bourbon. I think it was like every 3rd Tuesday. And then all of a sudden, we probably had too much bourbon and said, we should be like recording all this stuff and have a podcast. And thus how the podcast came to be. So we've been doing it for about 4 years. I think we've calculated we've tasted probably close to $6,000 worth of bourbon.
It's probably more than that, but we really
It's
don't
probably
wanna know.
it's probably more than that.
Our
but,
wives don't want to know.
Yeah, so we typically try 3 different bourbons every time we record, and then we talk about the differences between them and so forth, their stories, thus leading into the idea of life, lore, and libation. So most importantly, the life, secondary, the libation, and then the lore. So I'll kick us up tonight, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of rotate you around the room. So you don't have to move. You can just stay where you are, and we'll just move the camera so you can get to everybody.
And we are going to drink some bourbon at some point.
And we are going to drink some bourbon. Yeah, I'll stop talking. We'll start drinking as well. So I guess what we're going to do is I'm going to kick us up. So can you just tell us, I mean, you obviously have a really interesting background, John. And Anne, please chime in too. We're not trying to leave you out here. We've read up a lot on John. And so tell us just a little bit more in detail about yourself, John and Anne, and how you actually came into the bourbon world and the world of spirits.
Right. So going way back, we live in a small town. It's about 15,000 people, Steamboat Springs. And obviously it's a ski town, so it's a little different than a small town. It has a lot more breadth and visitation and higher end restaurants. And we actually have like 3 breweries and maybe 1 to 2 distilleries. So anyway, how I got here was a long time ago. Seems like one of my college roommates ended up being a general surgeon, and he moved here. My path was I went through dental school, then the Navy, and then I went back to medical school and did like a residency in facial surgery, oral and maxillofacial surgery. So that's my professional background, so to speak.
Yep.
When I got here, there was a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people here doing a lot. It's just an interesting town. There's like so many entrepreneurs. I just off the top of my head, like there's Smartwool, there's Gatorade, Honey Stinger, Case Logic. Even the guy from Tito's now lives here, but I don't think he started here. It's just a crazy town. A lot of people doing stuff. So one of my friends got into the whiskey business and started Steamboat Whiskey. Okay. So Steamboat Whiskey Company, their main product was Warrior Whiskey, and he was like a Navy SEAL. So he started the brand, which was a pretty cool brand. It was like a blend, 102 proof, a blend of Wyoming whiskey and some whiskey from Kentucky that he put in a rum barrel for 3 months and came out. He called it, Navy strength blend. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty good product. He gave back 5% to wounded warriors, and at that point, when I had joined that company, he was looking for investors, so I liked the branding. I liked what he was doing, so I got involved with that company, and they opened up a tasting room. And that was their first mistake. So I don't know if you know this, but like if you're not careful, the tasting rooms are like either sink you or make you, and like it sunk in. Well, part of it was COVID, and part of it was he started too many SKUs. He started a vodka, he started a gin, he started a peanut. Okay. So he got like crazy with all this stuff. And long and short of it was Warrior Whiskey is kind of the only one that survived. And then we're still distributing that out of Denver. But I don't know how long. He's not putting much money into advertising. And so the long and short of it is, I was like, this is not really going anywhere. And he was distilling, getting ready to do his own first batches of bourbon and stuff like that. But that was a 2-year process. You guys know all this.
Yep.
So he was doing the blends first. So I'm like, well, I thought to myself, I got a couple investors together, and let's do this totally differently. And getting back to the story, let's come up with a real unique bottle. And so, like, as you see from my travel, a lot of my travels are in Mexico. I do cleft palate surgery missions there, go surfing there, and a lot of stuff happened in there. I get to the tequila too, which is a really big company as well, if you have time. And if I'm going over, just tell me.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. So when I was down there, they had a lot of unique bottles. They had Damiana, which is a liqueur shaped like a woman. And she's kind of like an Incan Indian, but it's kind of like she's sitting down and it's supposed to promote pregnancy. And it was actually me and my son were down there. I'm like, if we do a bottle, custom bottle, let's do an American version of this, like really different than that version. Make it look nice and like a statue or a sculpture. So we hired this artist to start working on that. He's like, how do you want me to make this bottle? I'm like, well, just look at like Scarlett Johansson and Beyonce and some Greek sculptures and just start putting them all together of a conglomeration of all these people and put hair on her and put this and then do this and that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so he started that. That took like a year or two just to do the computer generated version of the bottle.
Wow.
There's a lot to go into the bottle because once you get the CAD CAM version of the bottle to make it a 750 fill up to her hairline every time was really hard. And so we went through a bunch of iterations of the bottle and they were getting thin in some areas, they'd break. I don't know if you know this about bottle. When they make a bottle, they do like a 92-point test for breakage. They kind of hit 92 points on the bottle to see if there's any weak spots.
I didn't know that.
And they kept breaking, for instance, at the shoulders. And he's like, these guys, he goes, you're not the first guy to try a human, especially woman-shaped bottle.
Yeah.
And he goes, they all give up. He goes, I've seen it twice now, and they do it, and it's like I can't do it. So I'm like, well, I'll just keep going. So he did, and finally came up with the bottle, and then that was about a 2-year process total.
Wow.
Just to get to the mold.
Wow.
And then they tested the mold. So to make a custom bottle is way more than I thought, yeah, so there's, you guys have probably seen a lot of stock bottles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And, like most bourbon drinkers, and I can get to this a little later too, is like almost prefer stock bottles and nondescript bottles. And so some of the first feedback we're getting is the bottle's too gimmicky. Bourbon drinkers don't like that. And so that was kind of like, I'm like, oh, wait, I thought they would like that,
Yeah.
So my
years later.
Yeah, years later. And so so we stuck with it though, and we through marketing and stuff and telling the story, we're starting to get like big distributors. We got one in Boston who are saying, okay, we see the value of the bottle. It looks like a sculpture. It's not too risque or whatever. It's more what do you call it? Tasteful. And so they've said, like, okay, you could try it, but it was a pretty big roadblock to getting into the bourbon, and it still has some. It's one of our first roadblocks. So we say you got to try what's inside.
Yeah.
And but I knew a little bit about blending and stuff from Steamboat Whiskey in 2015. So we started just getting where we get the best distillate. So we tried also, there's a very big shortage of distillate. So when you guys say distillery, we're actually not. We're more of a sourcer and craft aging company.
Okay.
And so a lot of companies are doing that, like Tin Cup, and I can name a few, but we've kind of taken that thing out where we can't distill. We can't come up with a distillate as good as they can, as far as quality, consistency, pricing. So let's get the best bourbon distillate, high corn, this one. And then we'll age it, craft age it, do it a special way. And that's where our distiller came in, who his name is Paul Dunning from Colorado Springs. And we came up with the small barrel, 30-gallon multi-char, chars 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
So to give you an example, like Angel's Envy is all char 3 55-gallon barrels. Now it's good whiskey, it's good bourbon, but it's not very complex, and I would say that they're very, very successful brand, and I like them. But ours, there's only like a few producers like ourselves doing small barrels. One is they're harder to get, the barrels, or they don't make them in as much quantity as they do the 55s. Mm-hmm. And two, they require more work because they just require 20% more work because each fill is more loading, unloading, etc. And then the multi-chars is where it really takes a lot of work because we put our distillate into chars 2, 3, 4, and 5 and use a split between the two of a percentage of each to make our final product. So all that stuff we think gives it a complex taste. It gives it a little bit more flavor, gives it color, gives it different flavor profiles than your standard one char bourbon.
Okay.
And so when we found that, I was like, yeah, this is definitely the way to go. The hard part about that is getting all those barrels filled, storing them. Right now we have a storage. It's all in Colorado Springs because it's impractical to do it up here. So all our storage and aging is in Colorado Springs. So that's how we came up with the actual bourbon straight. It's a straight bourbon, no additives.
Yep.
The 92 proof. Then we did the cask strength simultaneously in a smaller amounts. It's like 70% of our product is 92, 30% of our inventory is cask. Now you guys have the 92.
We do.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So now being bourbon drinkers, I think you're going to like the cask. So I will try to get you a bottle because, well, first of all, anybody can get any of this online, right. Cask,
Okay.
Rye, and the 92. Because we got a new online e-commerce site, and I think North Carolina is one of them. I'm sure it is.
Okay.
But all these products can be, just go to our website, AmericanWomanWhiskey.com or awspirits.com, either one. And you can get all three products.
Okay.
And then just as a side note, our cask, just like literally a couple of days ago at the results, it won the gold at San Francisco.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that was good. And again, you guys might know this too, but I think that's the biggest and most kind of recognizable of all of them, of all those competitions.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where we're at with the bourbon.
So the bottle story is interesting to me because I think if you listen to a number of our different recordings, we talk a lot about the bottle. And I think, yes, like Derek's got a liquor store in his room here. Like there's so many bottles, but when I do look at them, there are a lot of the standard or just a play on the standard bottle, but there are some that are a little bit more unique. And we talk about that because we're always interested in like, what was the thinking behind the design of the bottle? Why did they do, like, there's a couple that are more square. They have a little bit of a slight angle to them. Will it pot still? Obviously looks like a pot still. So it's, and they stand out. And I think that's what's so great about your bottle. Like if I walked into a bar and there was, a back shelf with all the bourbon on it, yours is going to stand out because of what you did with the bottle and the process you went through and the thought you put behind it. Now, yeah, somebody might say, oh, that feels gimmicky, but I would probably venture to bet that they're going to try it because they just want to see if it's actually really good given the bottle. And certainly they're going to find that it is good because we've all tried it before. We have a little left in the bottle. I have to admit, I opened it a couple weeks before we drank most of it. So I did save a little in hopes that we were going to be able to make this happen. But I do think that bottle story is really interesting. So I do want to ask you one question. I'm going to pass it on to the guys because I'm sure they have a ton of questions and they've been writing down a lot of notes. So when you went to your family and said, you know what, I think we're going to get into the bourbon whiskey business, how did they react to that?
Well, they were younger kids at the time. Mm-hmm. So, well, I guess they were in their teens and stuff. So, as you guys know, they didn't care about anything.
Did they know?
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Roll the
whatever,
ride.
Dad.
They're like,
Whatever.
how is this
Yep.
decision could affect my life? That's all they want to know. Right.
So that's like their initial reaction, and some of them still. But when they started seeing that it was serious, they all liked it. They all thought it was great. And my daughters, I thought they would. I wanted to make sure that they thought it was okay too, because I didn't want to do it without them,
Right.
being behind it. And so they were all good, and all their friends, like they're like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. So we got a lot of input. And then when they started getting into their teen years, or now they're in their 20s, they drink it. Like they don't drink a lot of that, like of whiskey. But when they get it at their parties, they always show me it goes down in a second. They're like, oh. So now it's cool to have a whiskey company.
That's right. Exactly.
And swag.
And swag. Yeah. And the swag.
Swag.
Yeah.
And so I would say that they were generally supportive, like 100% supportive, and influential in certain, like swag, like they say, oh, that hat, do the hat this way,
Yep.
or t-shirt this way. They didn't really input on the bourbon itself, but when I was doing the bottle, I'd show them pictures as we were doing it, and they're like, oh, that's to this or that's to that. So I'd say they were supportive, and
It's great.
yeah.
And they've been, I'll just jump in, they've been really helpful. We've had a lot of good input from them about what's our messaging.
Yeah.
And so we've taken it much more, our tagline now is a work of art.
Yep.
We've gone through many already, and some of them were too political or too women leaning, and that's not what we're trying to be. We're just trying to celebrate art and celebrate the fact that whiskey is drank by a lot of women now.
Yep.
I think I read 30% of whiskey drinkers are now women.
Yep.
And that's huge growth in that area for us. So I'd say they've chimed in with that quite
Yeah.
a bit.
And I think my wife accounts for 15%.
I'm one, so yeah.
So, and tell us a little bit, from a sales perspective, as a woman pitching this bourbon.
This is Krat, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't introduce myself.
Yeah,
I'm Krat.
sorry. I didn't do the appropriate introduction at the beginning. So, Krat, you have I can't even get, he's in the yellow shirt, and then Toon, Elton, but we call him Toon.
Yeah.
So,
just
I've got a good setup. I love this.
yeah.
knowing the bottle and what you guys are about, and the percentage that you guys are holding back for supporting the organizations that you guys support. How's the sales pitch for you as you go into a bar that maybe is not carrying the bourbon? What do you bring forward? Because obviously there's this kind of it's almost like an external story and an internal story. John, and you touched on that earlier, like you got the bottle, but then there's the stuff in the bottle. So I'd love to hear kind of your approach.
Sure. Typically, I like to start with, obviously, this is a unique bottle. It catches your eye. That's why we did it. Like you said, on a bar, in the liquor store, you're like, what is that? That's unique. That's different. It's almost abstract. Sometimes they can't even tell it's a woman right away.
Yep.
So it really makes you look. So I always start with that. Like, obviously, we've put a lot of energy into creating this work of art bottle, but what's really unique is what's inside. So then I usually have them taste it, explain what John just explained about our aging process and that unique angle to it. And that's definitely more work, more expensive. So we are premium because of that, not because of the bottle. It's because of the liquid and how we age. So typically they love it. I mean, we were just in Boston opening those, going on ride-arounds with that sales force, and everybody bought it on premise. So that was really exciting to see. A lot of good feedback, and we've had rebuys already. We've been getting reports. So I think overall it's just getting them to taste it. And then for menu placement, it's like, people are wanting something new.
Right. Yep.
Add this to your cocktail menu and charge a little bit more, and people will buy it.
Yeah.
In Steamboat, we have a lot of high-end restaurants, like John said, and we're on about 5 menus, and we go through more whiskey with them than we do most liquor stores.
That's great.
Even
That's
combined.
awesome.
Yeah.
So it's really important to get people to try it. We do a lot of tastings because of that. We don't really do craft festivals anymore. We were doing that, but we're not really trying to be a craft. We want to be more of like a nationally recognized brand. So we've kind of shied away from the festival thing, but, just doing tastings, talking to people, doing certain events when we're like the one featured has been really successful. So
That's fantastic.
it's exciting.
That's great.
It's
great.
Yeah.
So this is a question that I may know the answer to, but I'm too embarrassed to decide if I do or not. But with a 30-gallon versus a 55-gallon, is the aging process accelerated? Like, I mean, is 2 years in a 30-gallon the equivalent of 4 years in a 55? I guess is another way of me saying that, because it's less volume, right?
It's a fair question.
We usually say we do 3 years, and we usually say it drinks more like a 6 to 8.
Yeah. So I know Kurt,
yeah.
Kurt had said that everybody here had it. I had not. So
I'm
kudos to you guys, because I think it's fantastic. When I saw the mash bill at first, it was 89 corn.
99.
99 corn. Yeah. So I typically I'm typically not that high of a corn content person because
He's not that sweet of a guy. Is what he's trying to say.
I'm not actually, but this is very good, and it's got a really nice bite to it. I really like
Yes.
it.
It's very smooth.
We talked a little bit about just kind of the challenges, John, with the bottle. As you guys kind of found the distiller for the distillant, you mentioned you've got storage, the aging process down in Colorado Springs. What other challenges or hurdles did you guys run into that you did not expect?
Yeah, so one of the biggest challenges is getting you're shouting to get your brand out there. Yep. It's really hard. You could use social media, events, whatever. A lot of it's just influencers, which we don't have a influencer at this time. But like, or some break you get where some guy likes it and he's an influencer and he shouts it out. Yeah. So getting recognition is really hard. Mm-hmm. But I would say by far and in a way, the most difficult is distribution, distributors. So distributors, are any of you guys distributors?
No.
We live in North Carolina. We have that crappy ABC.
Our government is our distributor.
We're told what we can have.
Yes.
Okay, so that's actually better, probably.
What?
Well, I don't know. Distributors
They're tough.
They're tough, and they're to break into get a distributor. First of all, you can't do anything without a distributor in Colorado or most states.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's a pass-through system, 3-tier, as you know. You can't do anything without them. And all they're interested in is bottom line. And it's a hard thing to show profit on a new product like this, especially premium.
Yeah.
And the reaction is always, I make so much money already on this or that. Why would I take this? I have no desire. My salesmen don't want to sell it.
Nobody knows what it is. Like, it's like, it doesn't matter. Good does not matter to them. If it's good, they hear that with thousands of brands. It's like, they don't even hear it. It's just, can this make money? And why would it when we sell Jack Daniels and like all these big names? So it's
right. They don't have to do anything to sell Jack.
No.
Right. That deal was done 100 years ago.
Yeah. It's a staple.
And they're like, We've heard it's a kind of a love-hate. Like, you have to have them, but they're hard to work with. And like you said, John, if it's a pretty crowded space, everyone's saying mine's new, mine's best. Mm-hmm. And you go, yeah, but how will they know? Right. How will everyone know?
But that's what I like about the smaller distilleries and bottlers and blenders. It's that it is about the craft, and they're more passionate about the bourbon.
Yeah.
You do think about like Jack Daniels. To your point, that deal was made years and years ago, and that's just a brown mixer. It's not even really, the whiskey at this point.
That's where your locale plays in. I'm assuming you mentioned the high-end restaurants and the number of visitors and the uniqueness of the market. At least they're coming to you, and you have a chance to get consumers to try it here and hopefully pull it back through. I don't know if there's a a thread you could pull on that to get people to take it back home with them or whatever. But you do at least have that. We've got we've done several of these staring down the barrels, and it's so fun. And a lot of people are always trying to figure out how to get their word out in a very crowded marketplace, and most of them don't have the luxury of being in other than the Rotten Little Bastard and DeFusky, who are over at the coast. Most of them are, in Podunk, North Carolina, or Virginia, or Tennessee, or whatever. So at least you have that riding for you.
Yeah.
I do think, though, Ann, you raised a good point a little earlier. Like you said, people are looking for something different.
Yep.
And I think of the four of us guys, like if one of us goes on a road trip, we're always like, hey, if you find something, let us know, right? And I think it's the same like if I go into a restaurant here, I'm always looking to see if there's something different on the shelf.
Yeah.
In most cases, there's not because it's controlled. But every once in a while, there will be something that pops up on the shelf, which just makes you want to try it because you're tired of drinking all the other stuff that you're traditionally drinking because it's all that's available. So I don't know. Yeah.
All right, this is Alton. I got a quick question for you guys on, because I'm fascinated with the operational side of the house as well. So you talked about, you're I think you use Sorcerer and craft ager or craft aging in the 30-gallon barrels, et cetera. And then you also said you want to go national, not be a local craft distiller anymore. How in the world are you projecting growth? And obviously you can't put it in a barrel and get it out next week. How are you projecting out what that looks like?
Yeah, that's a great projections are, especially with this with bourbon, are really difficult. This has a minimum 2 years to become a straight bourbon. Anybody, it's got to be in the barrel for 2 years.
Right.
Yep.
So we're at a 2 year. Well, we're ahead of the game now because we've had it for more than 2 years aging. But if you're starting, you're obviously behind that. So we started putting the most of our investing money, also our capital that we were getting, was putting into barrels for the future. But to compete with, so when I say nationally, we mean a couple of big markets. Like we just got Boston. We just got a big distributor on the par of any of the biggest distributors you can get in Boston. So that's our first market. Our second market will potentially be Florida.
Okay.
And, so our focus now on our business plan is to get 2 or 3 big markets, and that's it. Because getting back to your question, we have to start putting 2 years worth of bourbon into barrels so that we grow to a certain level. Now there are options. If this catches on big time, where we're going through, let's just say as a number, 100,000 bottles a year, we would have to start sourcing out. We'd have to start contracting with someone to start aging at a bigger level.
Yeah.
We'd need more investment money, and to do that, and so we'd have to see that 2 year future and ramp up pretty fast.
Yeah.
And when I don't say that we want to be a national brand and just be generic or non-craft, I think our craft is in the aging.
Yep.
I just think most craft distillers distill their own, age their own, and are more artisan, which is great. So I still think we have that. Mm-hmm. But to scale up to any huge level, let's just say of even a good example would be I don't know, Garrison Brothers in Texas. Have you had that one yet?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So they scaled up pretty good, and they're like a big company now. And they started like we did in 30-gallon barrels, and it took like 4 or 5 years. And they got once they started catching on, people could see their success. They got investment money and started laying down more barrels, and so they're okay. And I think then they even started distilling their own, and so there is only a certain level we could grow to, but our overall business plan, we had, there's other things you can do. Like we added a rye, for instance, and our source had 100, 250 barrels of rye. So we bought them and started a rye. So there's options to do different products. Yep. to fill in the gaps of. But I always think we'll be a relatively small bourbon company.
Yeah.
So to get to, like, our goal is like maybe 80 to 100,000 bottles a year kind of company. And to get really bigger volume, that's why we are doing the tequila. And we're not just doing that because of that. We started the company's American Women's Spirits Company. It's like an umbrella company. And tequila was always in the mix, so to speak. So while we were doing the bourbon, we were also doing the groundwork for the tequila. Same bottle, but obviously tequila source. And that's where my connections in Mexico helped, because we got it sourced. So what we're doing is taking our barrel staves of our used bourbon barrels, cutting them into 9-inch staves, 9-inch staves, and we're putting them into the Blanco for I'm talking like days, couple days only, to give it a slight color, just a very tinge of gold. It gives it a little bit more, knocks off the hard edge of the Blanco. And we just sent it to San Francisco, and it got a silver, which is good for San Francisco. And that's our next project. So this tequila, and that has an unlimited supply.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
That's very cool.
That's like I mean, usually going back to like the craft distiller, usually they're cranking out vodka because they can turn it, and it doesn't have to age. They can just turn it and sell it and turn it and sell it and buy time until they hit 2-year mark. And then in the process, they're also tucking in a gin or an aquavit or something like that, right? So they're kind of working their way up to the whiskeys. I haven't heard anyone go from, we want bourbon and we want tequila. That's pretty awesome. And then to have the bourbon influence the tequila.
Yeah.
But it's not like a reposado too, right? It's
We'll do an anejo. This is the bottle that the anejo will go, and it's black.
okay.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that is cool.
Very
So
cool.
matte black. I'll just grab the clear one, Blanco, here to show you. It's pretty cool.
So basically, we think tequila, it fits better with bourbon. We're not going to ever probably do a vodka or a gin or any of their rum.
You don't need to.
But what you were saying is exactly right. If you're a company,
There's the Blanco.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Look below at the clear liquid. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, we can see it. We can kind of see it moving around. Yeah.
That's very cool.
So I've come to find that, well, first of all, there's stats that are out there. Like part of our team, he does research on stats. Easily, tequila is the biggest growing. It's projected to take over vodka in 2025 as the number one clear liquid grower.
Wow.
Yeah. Vodka is way too hard to break into. The margins are not good. So to fill the gaps of company, like there's two ways to approach this. Like you could be a small niche distiller and just do your bourbon and be happy with, that's fine. And probably be real successful if you got a good product and some marketing, which we can get to, since you guys are marketers, right? And but if you want to grow to any size, you need to add a product that has a good supply source and that has a good margins and it has good marketing appeal and it has good growth, projections, and that's tequila, like by far. So it's a little bit crowded market, but there's a lot of really bad ones and there's like a handful of good ones. So I think it'll be a potential success, especially since we're doing a couple things. Like we've differentiated ourselves by doing the staves. Guys do that on their Blancos. It's not a reposado until it's 3 months aged. Like I said, ours is just days, just to give it a little.
Yep.
But for instance, one company I know of puts theirs in a Japanese whiskey barrel for like a month. And it's still a Blanco. So anything under 3 months is still a Blanco. Anything over 3 months in a barrel is now a reposado. Yeah, and anything over 12 months is a anejo. And anything over 3 years, is an extra anejo. So we're going to do just the Blanco and the anejo.
Okay.
And same bottle, different label, obviously, but
And call it Mujer Americana.
yeah, we
that's
changed the
just
name a little bit.
Direct translation.
So
Yeah, we're close. We're just about to order our first kind of proof of concept order, 6,000 bottles of just the Blanco to start.
Nice.
Very nice.
That's exciting.
Hopefully this summer. Yeah.
So, Ann, what drew you to this company?
Oh, that's a great question. This is not my background. I'm almost 20 years into doing massage therapy.
All right.
So my trade, and I met John here in Steamboat about 3 or 4 years ago and decided, I need to switch this up. I can't be doing massage this much. We get really busy in the winter, skiers here and summer. So my body just started to kind of slow down with that. So I pair it with that. I still do that part-time, and then I just needed another part-time, something new and different for me, and kind of get me out of my comfort zone, because I'm not necessarily a salesperson, but learning a lot. I didn't even like bourbon when I started. I had a bad experience in my 20s, one of those deals.
We've all had one of those.
But yeah, I think we have, or with one spirit or another, right?
Yeah, Jägermeister.
So I've gotten to the point,
Peppermint
schnapps. Really grown on me, even the rye. Because I was like, no, I like the bourbon, I can't do rye. But even now, that's, I almost prefer that in the cask.
We've been trying to get Derek to like rye for years, and he's slowly starting to
We
get
found
there.
one. We found one
Yeah,
he
we found a
liked.
few.
We found
Yeah.
one that he liked. So
A different, it hits you differently on your
does.
palate.
it
So
does.
Yeah.
Yep, it does.
What is so? If you could tell us a little bit about, so we've been sipping this the whole time. It's fabulous.
Yes.
Like it's got great color. It's great on the nose.
amazing.
Super smooth.
It's amazing.
But Ann, give us the pitch that you pitched in Boston, because I want to kind of walk through what you did to describe it and to get them excited about it. A bunch of Puritans up there in Titletown.
Sure.
Just so you
Well,
know,
it's less of
Derek's
a-
from
I'm
Boston.
from Boston.
Just so you
Oh,
know.
you are.
So I can.
That's
I can throw
the
that down.
Titletown reference. So yeah.
Something that really worked, and we're doing are the golf courses there. I don't know if you know Granite Links.
In Quincy.
That's in Granite Links is
Quincy.
in Quincy.
Yep.
And so we're on their menu, and we decided to name the drinks the Southie Girl.
Okay.
And so we come up with a creative that's like creative name, and then we're sponsoring a women in golf. It's called Girls Gone Clubbin' Night.
Nice.
So it's every Wednesday night.
I love it.
clubbing.
That's great.
I love that. Very good.
And it's just bringing women together to golf, get more comfortable with golf. And then a separate thing with that is a women in leadership on Monday nights. They do the same thing. So came up with a drink idea, a drink name, and I like doing those kind of pitches. Like, what's the creative? Because making a cocktail is art too.
for
coming
sure.
up
For sure.
with different. Like another example here in Steamboat, they do it's called the Rye on Time. And it's with, you wouldn't think this sounds good, but it's so good. And I didn't come up with this, but I helped them and sold the rye to them. But it's our rye whiskey, clementine and mandarin puree, bitters, and thyme simple syrup, and then a sprig of thyme.
Oh, nice.
And
That sounds awesome.
it is so good.
We'll be
And
right there. We'll be right there.
Yeah.
So
That
So I
sounds
guess
great.
my pitch in Boston was less of a pitch. This last trip was like a presentation to the off-premise sales team.
Okay.
And it was me and 2 other women on our board that just kind of spoke like we're doing to you, like our backstory, why our liquid's different and unique, and then our cause, which we haven't really gotten into, but we give back to a women's art organization. That's kind of the last piece, but it is an important piece because we do like to give back a percentage of our sales. So that goes to the National Association of Women Artists out in New York.
That's great.
very
And
cool.
they have a Cambridge location too, and we sponsor events for them and artists annually. And they're right now painting our bottles, adorning them, and doing like an auction to
that's
reuse
very
the bottle.
Oh, that's cool.
Brilliant.
Cool projects on the side to like just be a little different, give back, and try and get women really excited about this brand. Men too, but
Yeah.
just
That's great.
I love the golf angle too. we've talked about that, and where you can go with it with the LPGA and with Topgolf and getting the brand there and having women gone clubbing or clubbing. If we're going to be in Southie. My sister's
different visuals of that.
My sister's into bourbon and into golf, so or I should say my sister. My sister's a wicked good golfer.
Amanda wouldn't know an R if it slapped her in the side of the head.
No.
I'm just glad you didn't call it tea time.
I don't know if you guys have heard, but if you could get a bottle to Nelly Corda anytime soon, apparently she's doing some really cool stuff on the golf course right now. I think she's won 5 tournaments in a row.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
So you guys are in golf country, right? Basically.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's so nice there. I was thinking about a woman influencer from a golfer.
Sure.
For sure.
I don't know how that would. I think it would be good. But yeah, we have now 16 women. 15 women owners and like 6 men owners.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
At different levels. So we're a majority owned women company, but we don't want to say that we're just like only for this or only for that. It's just like everybody should like this. And so we've kind of backed off that.
Yeah.
Just said, this is just a good whiskey company. And we now got tequila. And that seems to be working a lot better.
Yeah.
Because like you guys are drinking it, you guys are really low on that. You guys need another bottle.
We're almost done.
No, we gotta save a little bit for the infinity.
I
bottle
put some
too.
in already.
Yeah. All right.
Because I was like, before we drink it all, we got to put in the infinity bottle. So
we have an engraved infinity bottle that during each episode we put a shot of what we're trying tonight in here.
Oh,
Nice.
At the end of the year, we drink that, and Krat did the math on it. It was like a $1,600.
I don't even want to know. And certainly my wife. I think like our 5th of 10 listeners gave us that decanter.
Don't tell them
yeah,
that.
Cousins.
So it actually was pretty good, though. We were surprised
really
at how
good.
good it was.
Alton still struggles with the infinity bottle. He's like, I don't understand. Why would you have a little bit left in any bottle to then pour into another bottle?
Exactly.
You
Just to
just
finish
drink
the
it,
bottle.
right?
Drink the damn bottle.
You just make the
finish
next pour a little bigger.
It's fun.
Right? Yeah, John, you're in Alton's camp. I'm like, I don't get this.
I don't get this.
so you guys saved a little bit of each of the ones you've tasted.
Yep.
Yeah, we drank it a month ago.
John, we're craft blenders.
Hoarders.
So, and you engraved the bottle. I'm assuming one of you guys has an engraver, or do you guys have?
No, it
No,
was a
somebody
gift.
gave it to me as a gift. One of my neighbors gave it to me and put on their Bourbon Boys and then all of our names on it with some scripting around it. So it looks like a legit
Yeah,
bottle.
it's a nice
But
decanter.
it's there's probably like 15 bottles of bourbon in there. But it was pretty good. I have to say it was pretty good.
Yeah,
hilarious.
they tried that with. All the Heaven Hills products. There was like 8 of them, 8 different bourbons and ryes and things like that, and they came out with a blend. And I can't remember what they called it.
Kitchen sink.
They got it from us. It's fair.
And there was nobody liked it.
Oh shit!
But they were trying to sell it.
No.
Yeah,
Well, we'll sell this to you if you want. Right? So.
It's for sale.
well, you guys know whenever you cook something yourself, it always tastes better. So.
That's right.
Yeah, but so interesting. Yeah, who has it? Laws. Did you ever do Laws whiskey yet?
No.
Not yet.
Okay, that's a Colorado one. They did a 4-grain one where they took wheat, rye, bourbon, corn, and I think maybe barley. Yeah, they did this 4-thing bourbon and really tried to promote it. And I don't like it, but people like it. So as you see, they're trying everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to your mash bill. So I'm a big fan. Krat's not a big fan of the sweet. I am all over. This is right in my alley. The corn is amazing. So you guys are 99% corn. Do you know we actually have in North Carolina? There's a Southern Grace. They have a product called Conviction. It's 100% corn. It's a single grain, but actually, I'd have to say I think yours has a lot more character to it than theirs. I think theirs is very sweet, but they really have some opportunity on the. They've done some aging since we've had it. Sebastian and team they launched a 4-year, and I think now a 5-year now. But it was interesting when you said 99. I'm like, oh, this is my kind of game right here.
Right.
Well, and I think the char and the 30 gallons, I think is what makes.
I think you're right.
I would agree.
That I haven't heard of. That is in two parts. The 30 gallon.
Yeah.
We've not talked to anyone who's doing anything below the 55.
Right.
And then we've not talked to anyone who's done a char blend.
Yeah.
Everyone usually just locks in. They're like, I order, an 18-wheeler full of number 4 char.
Alligator.
Or a 2.5 and a 10.
Yeah.
And the other element to that is we're in altitude and dry climate, so it definitely adds to the aging process as well in a way that's unique to Colorado, and why there's probably a lot of distilleries out here.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
It does make a difference.
Yeah, Colorado's big now. It's we got some major brands: Breckenridge, Stranahan's, Laws, Leopold. Like there's a bunch. 291. Yeah, so it's not on par with Kentucky as far as the amount and all that, but I would say we're close second or third at least. So I haven't had any of the East Coast. They don't do much there, and maybe it has to do with the humidity or something. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, the place that Alton was talking about, that's actually at a retired North Carolina prison.
Yeah.
And so they call it whiskey. They call it whiskey prison, and they've got a little. It's a hot box where I guess they used to put prisoners out in the yard in this little 10-foot by 10-foot cell, and they age bourbon in the hot box. In addition to their rick house, but it's interesting.
We recorded in their rick house with their lead guy there, and it's where all the prisoners used to sleep.
Yeah, it's a bunkhouse.
It's a bunkhouse.
That's interesting.
So
they pump old like prison rock through it, so it's like a bunch of Elvis playing.
Johnny Cash.
They feel like the music keeps the bourbon moving in the barrel.
It's a little
Okay, so that's what Metallica did.
There you go.
Yeah, I can't remember what is it called, Black something. They said then they expose it to the Metallica music while all that stuff's marketing, man.
Those damn marketers.
Just be careful, we're marketers.
And look where it got us.
So I do want to go back. I have one quick question for both of you. What was the first bourbon you ever tried that you remember?
Yeah, so
knowing Anne's experiences.
So I'd have to say, okay, everybody asks me, like, personally, they go, oh, you must love bourbon. Like, okay, to a point. Like, I don't, like, sit there with a bottle of bourbon, and drink it all. Kind of like, I don't like it that much, So I was more beer, right? And right now, since I've started the bourbon company, whatever it is now, almost 10 years, I prefer bourbon because it's less amount, less filling, I guess is the word.
Sure.
And now I could actually say that I'm pretty good at distinguishing between different ones.
Okay.
Not to the level of being like a taster, but I'm starting to appreciate, like I can taste between proofs easily, different kinds of grains. So I find it's really an interesting product for sure. And especially when I see some of the classics, like, the Bardstown stuff coming out of Kentucky. How good it is, when they come up with a really good single barrel or a batch or whatever. Like, so my first good bourbon was Four Roses, and I still think they're probably the best.
Which one? Do you remember which one?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
I just like the single barrel product they put out at like 100 proof, straight bourbon.
Okay.
I just think they're the most, to me, the highest quality, the best taste. Like they're like, that's just, I think they're the one of the best. Maker's Mark is actually really good, and like especially when they came out with the 94 and then the 104. But I prefer a little higher proof. Like I don't like the 92 much anymore, because once you start doing the higher proofs, the lower proofs start tasting watery, or so. Like one of our tastes, he's like, you got to get off. You got to stop doing the high proofs for like a couple months before you can retail 92s. You know,
I love that.
So I've kind of come to like the cast strengths, which are real tasty. Like that's what I was saying. If you guys had our cast strength, I'm sure you'd have the same reaction. Like I said, just won a gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
So our gold at San Francisco with the cask, I look at the list and it's like we're going up against like Four Roses and getting the same scores. And there's this one, we have a 6-year in our barrel, so that might be like 8 or 9 years, really. It's coming out at 141 proof.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Talking my language now.
That would be fun.
Yeah, so I tasted that a couple weeks ago. Yeah, just a little sip of it. Tasted it. I was like, man, this is like unbelievable, because it was a high char barrel, high corn, 141, but no way you would think it's 141.
Dangerous.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love that.
Wow. So we can actually we can do a special run of that, because I have 6 year of this, what you're drinking. I have 6 years sitting in barrels right now. So I was thinking of doing like 1,000 bottles. 141 proof, cast strength, same multi-char, and like doing it like $150 a bottle, or
that'd move.
Yeah, number is
that'd move quick.
You just sold one in North Carolina. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, so a lot of people are into that. Like guys like you who love bourbon, to taste it, things. They're collecting it, and they love the cast strengths. They like to collect them, single barrels. So there's a whole trend of that going on.
Yep.
Collectors, we call them, I guess, and we're kind of capitalizing on that. But to reiterate, we don't have the capacity to grow too big.
Yeah.
Do all that. We can do all that kind of stuff, this craft, or the small batches, small runs, different proofs. But at some point, you got to have a product that has an unlimited supply. And that is tequila for us, because I'm saying the guy that produces it, he can put out quality. The amounts that he can put out are just limited only by his workforce, he would have to just get more people, but that's a whole different. What they're doing down in tequila is like unbelievable, but
it's a different business model for sure.
Yeah, and so everybody was a little bit worried about the plants, and apparently they were saying, "Oh, there's a shortage of plants; they're running out," and like any crop, and they're like, no, actually they're not, because somebody or they down there planted like thousands and thousands of acres.
Agave.
Agave.
Yeah.
So, the state of Jalisco is big, maybe as big as Indiana or something, and it's full, like the whole entire state. That's all they grow, because
Wow.
They're ready.
Because to call it tequila, it has to be grown in that state.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
And so,
That's interesting.
yes, so they grow every square inch is tequila agave plants.
Yeah.
I think they have enough for like a long time. But
That's brilliant.
That's cool.
I love the idea of that super strong cast strength that you're talking about in the bourbon. When you start thinking about strong American women too, like being able to tie that together that's a easy connection.
For sure.
For sure.
That's fantastic.
That being said, one of my favorite, I don't know if you guys have had 291, but they're all cask. They only do cask. That's a great product if you can get your hands on that.
291. Okay.
Yeah, 291. That wasn't my first bourbon. My first bourbon was Jim Beam, and that's the reason I didn't like
I was
it.
gonna say it's probably a trigger word. Yeah.
I went to college in Boulder, and we'd do Whiskey River Monday night.
Oh boy.
Every Monday night, and we'd get a handle of Jim Beam, and that thing would be gone
Yikes.
before you. So that ruined me, but since then I've had a lot of, not a lot, but good.
You can tell a difference.
Oh yeah.
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 We're still fans of Old Tub, which is a Beam product.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
at $24.95, bottom of the shelf, but it's a great mixer.
It's a great.
really good.
It's good. Just
Yeah.
it's believe it or not, it's good neat. I know
Oh, yeah.
it's going to throw
Yeah.
you with me because I usually do it over ice.
Kurt,
But
what?
yeah, I can appreciate just sipping it sometimes, just in the back. So
Well, I mean, there are reason those guys are as big as they are. You know, it's not, none of those brands are bad.
right,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
So
Evan Williams is a good example. I think I was at the Evan Williams distillery, and they put out the $18 bourbon.
Yep.
Right.
But he's like, well, look at this over here, and he shows me, and he's like, this is the $1,000 a bottle bourbon, and he goes, there's no really big difference, and he goes, the big difference is, we don't do anything to it, but with the 18, we expand the base of it, and it changes a little bit. He says, but if you taste the two, they're like, you're not going to go 18,000, 1,000. You're going to go a little better.
Yeah.
Evan Williams is like a really good bourbon.
Yeah. Absolutely. And they're in Louisville, right?
Yeah, right downtown. The oldest
Yeah.
ones.
I think
I'm gonna fight you on that one, John.
We did. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna fight you on that one.
Uh-oh.
I wasn't an Evan Williams fan.
Yeah.
The tour was kind of cool, but
Yeah.
yeah,
We didn't try the $1,000 one.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, John's getting
this is
different
true.
pours than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we did not.
It was only sold into Japan, so you couldn't get it. And he's like, "Here, just have a sip of
That
it."
was it.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. Maybe I won't fight you on that one. We got what was on the $18 tour.
We were on the nickel tour. That's right. So.
Yeah.
So the bourbons that you taste, are they from all over or just
Anywhere.
like?
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yeah, they're from all over.
Yeah.
Wherever we can get them. When we travel, we always try to send out a text message, and when we're in a liquor store or an ABC or a package.
Yeah, I think Sugar Creek was out of Utah, is the furthest west we've been able to get.
Yeah.
I get that one.
Yeah, Sugar Hill?
Sugar Creek, I think it
Sugar
was.
Creek. Okay.
Yeah. And we
Salt Lake City.
Honestly, the staring down the barrels, the versions like this where we're actually talking to the owners or the distillers or whomever, those are the ones that end up performing the best for us because it's just interesting dialogue, and I think people really enjoy hearing about the journey that the distiller or the owner took to kind of build this company and what the brand means and the background on it. So, and honestly, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think these are kind of our favorite ones to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the other thing too with the bigger brands, like there's a person behind every brand, right? But you don't see that anymore in the bigger brands. And that's what's so cool about these conversations, because with every liquid and with every bottle, there's somebody behind that, right? And that's the two of you in this case, right?
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
Well, I know we consumed a lot of your time. I got one more question, then I think Dude's going to wrap us up. But talk a little bit. I mean, we've referenced the fact the 1% contribution to the Women's Society and the arts and all that. But what led to that? Why was that so important to be a part of the brand from the get-go and from everything you're doing?
Yeah, that's interesting. So ironically, it wasn't really one of our first marketers. Like I always said, we got to give back something. I mean, that wasn't just to make it a viable product, because most whiskey companies actually don't give back. A lot of them do, but they don't like lead with it. And I wanted to give some back, and she was like, you should do 1% for the planet. And the only problem, so we've actually run into some problems with 1% for women, because they're like only 1%, and we're like, all right, okay,
It's a lot better than zero.
Yeah, and so what we've done is, instead of that being part of our marketing now, what we're saying is every year we're gonna choose certain groups, whether they be women artists, whether they be women athletes, or probably women in the arts, and give back to one of their associations that's already vetted. And so that's really the reason. And it does help to say that, you are giving back. But I think so what I kind of tell people is I have converted this over to a women-owned company, which is way more important than giving back 1% of which is not much right now to some organization. So what we're doing is just take, this is eventually going to be women-owned, women-led, and women-run, which is almost there. Yeah. And so that's how we transition kind of out of that or away from that original 1%.
Gotcha.
Well, John, we all have daughters, so we support you.
Amen.
Yeah.
And mine, and I think yours drinks bourbon. So I don't know about yours, but okay.
Yeah,
so
mine do.
Yeah, go ahead, Ann.
It might be in their DNA, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Just like.
Yes.
What's that, Ann?
Well, I was laughing at that, but I think specifically the artists, women artists are. For me, at least, and my dad's an art teacher. I grew up along art and appreciate art. John is a seasoned traveler, so we travel, and a lot of that travel is surrounded by, going to places that have art.
Yeah, that's great.
And that was the influence. So it just feels like a full circle for me. That makes sense. It was inspired by art, and I don't know, women artists are just badass, in my opinion.
There you go.
Can't argue with that.
100%.
To work with. So I'm glad we found them. I was just like Googling, we tried to find something local, and we are a pretty decent art town as well as a town. Steamboat has a lot of art galleries.
Sure.
So it's just been like and we'll do like First Fridays sometimes with people. Every Friday of the month is an art walk. Stuff like that. So it fits well, I think.
That's great.
Very cool.
What do you got, Derek?
So part of our format is we end every episode with a thing called Last Call. And so we've all been, there where, we're at a party, at a bar, at a wedding, and it's last call. And you kind of go, oh shit, this is the last one. What am I going to do? What am I going to get? And when we are sampling multiple bourbons, we each have to choose which one. We'll create a scenario for last call, and then we'll have to choose the one and say why. So now that we're talking about just this one bourbon, we're going to ask you guys the last call. And if you could have a pour of this, your 92 or your Cask Strength American Woman, who would you want, which American woman, current or past, would you sit down and have a pour with? And what would you talk about?
Well, I know mine.
Go ahead, Ann.
And first.
Shout out to my 11-year-old daughter, and I would have to say Taylor Swift.
All right.
There you go.
What are you going to
And
talk
she
about?
likes whiskey, apparently.
A
So
Swiftie. She
just
likes
like to go back and
Your 11-year-old
tell my
likes
dad
whiskey
I
or
had
Taylor Swift?
I had a whiskey with Taylor Swift. So that's
Is that what you would do?
yeah.
What are you going to talk about? What's the conversation sound like?
Whiskey and music, and she's an artist, and I don't know, I really respect her. I didn't know much about her. I was like, oh, T Swiftie, but my daughter is in love, and we've been watching a lot of documentaries and her backstory, and
Yeah.
I think she lived in North Carolina, right? Or no, they moved to Nashville. That's right.
They moved to Nashville. They were more northeast, so Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Yeah, they had a house on the shore in New Jersey.
Kurt knows a little too much about T Swizzle, but
Well, he's on the stalker list. Yeah. It's all the restraining
He's on the
orders.
list,
He's
yeah.
collecting them.
concerts.
I think, and she's kind of like nerdy, like
She
I am too.
was.
So I just like we'd get along, and
Yep.
in a good way, like a good kind of nerdy, like just a good old girl, like.
Yeah.
But so successful and just a
Yeah.
powerhouse, and
Yeah.
how did she do it? So I have a lot of respect and shout out to Taylor Swift.
she's a
She's
badass.
on the wall.
Yeah, she is
Got a
on.
new album.
Yeah.
Oh, is she on the wall?
She's on
John.
the wall.
Oh, she
Yeah.
is on the wall. I didn't realize
She's on
that
the
was her.
wall. She's up top there.
See, and they're calling me a Swiftie.
Oh,
Look at there.
Derek used to do photography at concerts.
Yeah.
So, John,
Love
what's
it.
your answer?
Okay, so I was thinking of that. Like I'd probably use the 90 or the cask and like try to get Caitlin Clark to drink it.
There you go. Attaboy.
I would say, hey, look, you guys, you're going to be a big sponsor one of these days.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe you should do whiskey.
She's a basketball
Yeah.
star. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know women basketball, but that's a huge watch sport now. I just
Oh, yeah.
She's another badass though.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah.
She's borderline artist too. The way
Yeah.
she plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
no, I've been kind of watching the draft a little bit. Like more so than normal. I've been watching a little bit of her playing. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
she hits threes. But I was thinking we need to get an influencer like us. But I don't know if like they would probably like put a restriction on, like you can't sponsor whiskey or something like that.
So-
sports. Yeah,
I
not
don't
sure.
know. She's pro now.
Do you guys have an extra like 4 minutes? We'll go around and do our versions of this.
Go for it.
Yeah.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, lead us off.
All right.
I was like, thankfully, I'm off the hook on this one.
No, you're not, Kurt. I'm pulling you back in. So I would absolutely have this drink with my grandmother on my father's side, and she was an absolute badass. She was the first woman in the state of Ohio to petition the school board not to take home ec because she wanted to take shop.
Nice.
Love it.
So
Love it.
she was also a Baptist and never had a drop of alcohol in her entire life. But
Not your influencer,
No,
but-
not your influencer, but that's who I would pick for sure. Gabi. Yep.
Oh.
That's
good.
awesome.
Okay, so in true form, I don't have one answer, but
Well, that's for sure.
That's normal.
no, because your answer kind of inspired me a little bit. My grandma Clara,
Yeah.
I have an amazing picture of her at my sister's wedding, and she's holding up a Michelob beer can. And my grandmother also, she lost her husband very early. She was just the rock of our entire family.
She just motored on.
And yeah, and she liked to
awesome.
have a good time. She was, I would call her badass in her day. But if I think of artists, Tina Turner, I would love to sit down with Tina Turner and just
Oh yeah.
sip a bourbon and just talk to her about,
Like-
talk about somebody who broke through barriers and just the music that she's written and
she's awesome.
just her as a person, I think would be it'd be incredible.
That's cool. All
I
right.
bet she could hit a cask.
Yeah, she would. Cast.
Yeah,
She would.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah,
Can you
I
refill?
don't think we have to think about that one.
All right. Do you go?
All right, I'm going to keep up with you guys. I'm going to go Amelia Earhart.
Oh,
Yeah. You got to find out where she ended up.
Oh,
There you
anybody.
go.
See,
Yeah.
we go
Where'd
higher,
she
he
end
goes
up?
higher.
That's good.
I need to. There's some unanswered questions we got to know, so I'm gonna go with that. I mean, think of the American spirit.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the courage,
Yeah.
and the badassness.
Badassitude.
Well, rumor has it she might be around, so you never know.
All right, Tune.
Tune, you're up.
Oh, you got that. Actually, you took mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But my backup plan, if talking about going higher, would be
T Swizzle.
no. That would be brief. Would be Sally Ride. Again,
Yeah.
same thing, like breaking
nice.
through and just like I just don't understand what motivates people, male or female, to want to go to space. I don't understand that at all. Just like I don't understand the infinity bottle. So I just like, why did you work so hard for this?
I think those two go together, Infinity and Beyond. That's from a good
This is
movie,
true.
actually.
That was our last episode. Do you listen to our podcast?
Beyond.
Yeah, okay.
This was fun. You guys have a great product.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really do. Really
Yeah.
do.
Should be proud.
I'm excited to taste that cask strength.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
John, thanks. And thank you. John, I
It
guess
was really
I'm.
fun.
Yeah, and I guess I'm going to have to buy Jonathan a drink now because, he connected us, and hopefully we can stay in touch. And it's just been really great hearing your story and hearing where you guys are headed and what you're doing. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. So we'll be sure to be watching, and hopefully someday soon we'll see an American Woman sitting on the shelves of our ABC stores here in North Carolina.
But it sounds like it is available through the website.
Yes.
It is.
awspirits.com.
We have
It is.
Yep. awspirits.com.
This is, and again, just to wrap us up real quick for us, anybody who listens regularly knows we often say, like, hey, for somebody who is just kind of interested in the category to know where to start,
Oh, it's a great.
this is a great.
This
Number
is a
one, it's a
great-
unique bottle.
Yep.
It's a premium, but it's a fair price premium, honestly, from what we've seen. And it is super smooth.
Smooth
so
entry.
if you're
Yep.
just trying to figure out the category, you would enjoy this. And as we are graduate to the cask.
Yeah.
So we highly recommend it.
So guys, bourbon on.
Yeah.
We always raise a glass. Most
good.
of them are empty, but that's okay. We'll fill them up. So.
There you go. Pick up a bottle.
Cheers. I love that bottle. That bottle is amazing. So
John and Ann, thank you guys.
thank you so much.
So much.